are live with Faz Radio again, and just like it should be, I'm late.
I started that last week. I was
Mhm.
like, you know what? Faz is out. You know what that means? Oh,
You have delayed us before, sir.
this,
But
yes, I have. There
by
is
the
no
way,
doubt.
real quick, I got this for Christmas, and I'm trying to figure out where I can put this. It's
I'd put it on the back of your car.
I don't know if
Ooh,
I'm
that's actual metal, huh?
this is steel or
Steel?
chrome.
Aluminum? Aluminium?
It could be aluminium. No, I don't think. I don't know. Anyway, has a sticker on the back. Actually, has another sticker here. So yeah, it could go on a car, maybe.
Where did she get that?
My partner got it somewhere. I did not ask. You don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
No, but at the same time, it's really cool. That's what I would ask. If my wife got me that, I'd be like, hey, where'd you get that? I want to go buy more shit.
Yeah, maybe the deep node people can get some of these. So we do have some updates today, I think, about deep nodes, or maybe not deep nodes, but about Forged in Crypto's Discord, because he runs like a pool, right?
Yeah, so he does a lot of stuff, and I put it in the Discord the other day. We talked about it last year. It was, I think, December of 20, that would be 23. He decided to pull up a contest to see who could pick the best cryptos. And he was offering monthly and quarterly and yearly prizes. And so of course I jumped in. It was $50 to get in. You put your 50 in, you sent over your portfolio, and it was every month it was ranked. And it ended up having 35 people in it. And I finished ninth. So you can hush up about me picking crappy cryptos. I finished ninth out of 35 people. I almost did a little bit better, except my big flyer, which was SHX, kind of fell back off the radar there towards the end. So that pushed me down a little bit because they dropped a little bit. But I had a great portfolio. And listen, so the way that they worked it is the total prize pool ended up being like $23,000, which was insane because Forged and Betty Orb, they took the pot and they massaged it. They bought soul here, they sold soul there, they bought into this, they bought into that, and it grew. The If you watch the cast, it was like $3,500 that people had put into this pool, and it turned into like $23,000 as the final pot to dole out the prizes. Along the way, Forged was giving out Pudgy Penguins as quarterly prizes, and those Pudgy Penguins ended up with an airdrop. And one of the quarterly airdrops for the winner of the Pudgy Penguin got like $3,500 in Pudgy tokens. I mean, it's like insane, and it's fun, and it's a good time, and I loved playing. This year, he's starting it again. We got a late start because he's been busy with a million different things. You know, he's running Deep Network and he's still running Nerd Node and all that's still going on. So he's getting a little bit of a late start, but it's going to gear up for February 1st again. He's still thinking it's not guaranteed set in stone yet, but he's thinking for new people, $50, same thing. You send your portfolio over, what you want to do, and they enter you in. And if you want to make a change, right? So all of a sudden, 3 months in, you say, oh my God, I don't want this one anymore. I want this. For every change of token that you do, it's an additional $50 you got to kick into the kitty, which isn't terrible, right? I mean, that's not expensive. I'm poor and I can still afford it. So, it's a heck of a good time. They send out monthlies. The sheets with everybody's picks and how they're ranked is public. You can access it on a Google Doc anytime so you can see who's what, where, when, why, and how. Yes.
Aren't these kind of pools like football pools? Are they kind of illegal or something?
They're not illegal unless somebody calls the cops. And you're not going to call the cops, are you?
Ah, well, they'd watch this show, right?
No, friendly betting I don't think is illegal. If he were to put it out to the world and advertise it everywhere and bring millions of dollars in, it would be illegal gambling. Amongst friends and everybody on that list, everything is public. And I think I posted the link in there. And he posts the link, it's public. Anybody can see who's in it, what their holdings are, and verify that the results are accurate and all that kind of fun stuff. So completely transparent. I love it.
What if it's back here like this?
If you build that set that you're talking about, that would look really good back there.
Well,
Put a
actually,
put one of those little spotlight things on it. That would be even cooler because then there'd be the shadow.
I need to build a desk. This desk right here. Let's see. Come on, look at it. I have like an AI camera thing going on here. I was opening drawers earlier. So, yeah. So, I have a desk here, but it's temporary. I need to build a desk as part. I want to build one here. So, I'm going to be facing the opposite direction so you won't see this black sound curtain behind me. What you're going to see is windows behind me.
Nice.
Let's see. We have like that's an example of something you might see behind me. Anyway, yes, this room is still a work in progress, but at least I have good sound. Anyway,
Jealous.
jealous. What?
I love your mic, man. It sounds so good.
Oh, I think it was like $250. I don't think it was a lot. 200, 300. I don't know. It's a Christmas present. You don't ask those things.
No, but it sounds fantastic.
But yes, so this room is a work in progress. By the way, this is our FazRadio shirt right here. I do sell them, but not exactly on a website right now. I want to sell them. We need to get a lot more viewers so we can get like a real storefront going.
Well, not only the storefront, we want to get the zip bugs back up and get that store moving as well.
Yep, I've been having to move the last few months. By the way, there are zip bugs being posted on the OpenSea site. In fact, I posted a few of them for Christmas, or not Christmas, for New Year's. I was actually going to do a FazRadio Christmas logo, but then I just didn't like it, and then I didn't do it. So the first year is just the Halloween logo. FazRadio gets popular, that Halloween logo is going to be really hard to find. It's going to be a collector's item.
That was a nice logo. I enjoyed that logo.
Yeah, the Halloween logo. I might just do it again and just put a different, because I have a year on the bottom of it. So I might just do the same one, but with a different year, or maybe change the colors a little bit. Anyway, I love this shirt because this is a 2-color logo version of what you see in the corner above you.
Which way? That way.
That way.
Right there.
Yep. So this is a 2-color version. And I don't know why. Maybe it's because I like it because it's got this kind of military look about it. Who knows?
Yeah. Go Army.
Army. Yeah. Olive.
Well, you're not wearing Navy colors.
Nope. Nobody really wears like old Navy clothes unless it's like a pea coat. That's it.
No, so they moved to the BDUs and they got I love the colors. It's like a blue, a rich blue and a gray and the white in that digitalized camo look. I think those look really sharp.
Yeah. Long time ago. In a lifetime.
It was
far
away. I've got the in my room I have my Pentagon signs. When we were at the Pentagon, they were redoing a lot of the interior of the Pentagon. And like the big signs up above the corridors and then all of the signs on everybody's door. They were redoing them, making them look real nice. And a couple of those accidentally fell into my bag.
I wouldn't admit that.
And I've posted them all over my house. I've got a big giant um, corridor 7 sign, and I hang it in my garage. It's about
You
4
don't
feet
show
long,
people
about
on
12 inches wide, and it says corridor 7. It's from the old school. That was probably put in there in the 60s or 70s, in the
you
Pentagon.
older.
And then I have, because we used to go down to the Secretary of Defense's office on a regular basis. I have, uh, fittingly, on my bathroom door, it says, uh, Secretary of Defense Executive Conference Room. So I thoroughly enjoy that.
Okay, enough said. I think you should have kept that one to yourself, but now the world knows. Okay.
Yes.
Well, they probably won't miss it. Anyway,
No, they were throwing it out. It was in the garbage. I was
mm,
garbage picking because they put all the new signage up. The new signage was fantastic. The old signage looked like garbage compared to it. I get it, but I wasn't going to let that go in the garbage. I wanted a memento I'd remember my time there
mm.
forever with. And sure enough, I am.
All right. Well, um, what were we planning to talk about, sir?
Tech. So we talk about tech, we talk about AI, we talk about all these things every week, right? And one of the things that we keep skirting but we never get into, and I mentioned it on one of the casts. I said one of these days we got to get into this a little bit deeper. And I thought this week would be fantastic. Zorro's out this week. He would love this conversation. So I'm a little remiss at talking about it while he's gone. But the tech that's taking over not the human job, but the human interaction. So we do this show, and I go and I curate all these shorts, and I put them out, and you and I sit here every Friday night, and we go through this. We have the human element in there, but more and more of it is being taken over by tech and by AI, right? So I have an AI bot that helps me create the shorts. I use AI to help me come up with a better title. I tell it what I'm kind of looking for, and then it gives me great ideas and descriptions. It gets my rambling because I ramble once in a while, and so it makes my descriptions look way better. But we're getting to a point now where you can almost with anything, not just a podcast, you can put a set of instructions or a spreadsheet or a PowerPoint into an AI tool or a technological enhancement. They have like enhancers and everything else. You can just drop it in there and it'll do everything. Is the human touch a necessary part of this? And will it help you or hurt you as we turn this corner into everything being tech driven? What do you think?
Well, I think actually the human touch is going to be the most valuable thing. Um, for example, um, things that are custom made or handmade these days have a higher value than things that are mass produced. Why? Because things that are mass produced, you have 10 million of them. They all look the same. You want pair of glasses here. You like these glasses. You can find one with just this style. In fact, there's probably a style name on here on my glasses. Um, Great. But if somebody makes you handmade, who the fuck is this right guy on my screen? What? What? Um, but if you have something that's handmade, that feels better, and it has this look about it that mass produced things don't have. And so I'm thinking you're going to see the same thing with content. If you're in there editing little bits together, you're going to produce something that looks different than what a machine or what AI can do, um, and it's going to have more value. Now, also, if it looks similar to what AI will do, but people know that a human lovingly put it together. I don't know, maybe you filmed yourself doing it. Um, that's going to matter. Uh, and so I think a lot of things are going to have higher value because a human has messed with it. But I think we need AI tools so that we can actually do things ourselves. Whoops. So that we can actually do things ourselves and not have to worry about hiring a bunch of people to help us. Like you're talking about editing videos, for example, earlier.
So I think a prime example of that are your zip bugs, because while the zip bugs are not all individually hand drawn, they are at the same time. It starts with a base and the AI enhances it. But if you
And
were to
my
just
goal and my goal there is to curate them. It's to okay, I have a base. I want the eventual AI rendered thing to look enough like the base to show that it was enhanced. What I don't want is something random. You know, you say, "Hey AI, make this for me," and then it comes up with it all. I want it to pull from my ideas so that I can iterate on my ideas. I just came here for the Nerd Node deep ad. Don't disappoint me, fake Titan. Oh my gosh, you're fake Titan. Um,
I don't think he likes my beard.
actually, I happen to have some zip bugs right here.
Well, I mean, even Doug TenNapel, right? With he turned his art into NFTs, but it's all hand drawn. And you do the same thing, and it's all hand drawn and then just enhanced. You have others. There's a lot of NFT collections like Bored Apes, right? Those are all machine generated, and the value of those was like ridiculous for a long time.
Well, can you hear me? Did I
Yeah,
turn this off?
you
Huh?
didn't turn it off.
I don't know. Do you? By the way, since I got this new microphone, are you hearing me shuffle around things here?
No, that's a condenser mic, man. That thing's only going right in front of it.
Okay. So it's kind of funny here because I have something that I drew myself right here. And then the AI version of it. They look very similar. But what AI do? It enhanced it more. It's of the same hideous looking creature, of course. But, you know, you can tell they're the same. I can't just generate things because then it's just a machine doing it. Oh, about I got off topic. Bored apes. Bored Apes is funny because all they did is either drew or had something automatically draw like hats and eyes and noses and mouths and stuff like that, and then just mixed them up randomly. And they came up with some cool designs, and then those things are worth a lot of money. Um, Probably due, in my opinion, to its rarity, plus the cool factor. Maybe it depended upon who had them. CryptoPunks, those were generated. Those weren't lovingly crafted, and they have a whole lot of value because of when they were made. Uh, will these become valuable? Well, this one's a hand drawn one, but they'll become valuable if zip bugs become valuable. Maybe this one's more valuable because it's hand drawn. Of the two of these, I think this one will be more valuable because it's hand drawn.
So
I like this one better.
the general's on fire tonight. He's asking when the graphic novel comes out. So I'm not sure if that means the porn novel or the violence model.
Violence.
So
There's so
either
many
way,
ideas. There's
but
so many
here,
ideas I
look,
have.
best idea yet for your zip bugs. Look at the screen.
You can do them as stickers for bank cards. I got one BTC sleeve for my credit card. People always people always weird when I use it.
Yeah, you
People
can
are
make
weirding all over the
for
place.
bank cards. You can use those as logos for the bank card.
Well, these are kind of
That would
neat.
be really cool.
These are really thick cards here. See how thick they are? These are really thick. Yeah. Well, I have some ideas, and actually, I do have a storybook coming out eventually. I just got all the art done. I actually had an artist help me with them, and so she's taken my bugs to a different level. I won't say next level because every time I do something with the bugs, they go to the next level. But yeah, there's some stuff in the works for things being published with zip bugs.
Well, even like we've gone through that side of it. We have crypto pieces, right? So you have your platforms where you can go and create bots to do trading for you. It takes the human element or the emotion out of trading. You have the ability to turn that on and it'll just run like 24/7. And you can just talk to it like a normal human being and say, "Hey, when this goes up 10%, I want you to sell it. And when it drops to 5% below the previous, I want you to rebuy it." And these bots will do it. You have social media for businesses to where you can schedule things for days, weeks, months out in advance. You can have AI create the entire commercial for you using short AI videos. Nobody has to do anything anymore. And this is growing exponentially
Well,
by the
okay,
month
okay.
almost.
What I think is going to happen is some things, some content is going to take well to AI doing them. For example, there's some shows out there where they have a very specific template of how they do things. This happens, this happens, this happens, this happens every single show. So if you do like an investment show and you have a formula, you can have AI do something according to that formula every week. And if it's informative, great. The content has to be new and dynamic if it fits that style. That's great. But the part that people really want to see is that gets boring after a while. People that becomes a fad, and then people want something different, like these glasses here. You know, these glasses 5 years from now won't be popular. Whatever you're wearing right now is going to be dated, and so the way that you put together your show with AI will be dated. And you're always going to need a human in there, in my opinion, tweaking it to make it more interesting for other humans, keeping up with current events.
So let me share a quick story with you on why I always talk about this on the show. A person that I followed on Twitter, I bumped into this person probably 3 years ago. And I used to live in Austin, Texas. I lived in Austin, Texas for almost 3 years. And he lived in Austin, Texas. We got to yipping. He actually lives very close to where I was living when we were there. And he was very passionate. He's a lot like me. That's why we clicked. And he's very passionate about freedom and decentralization and all the things that promote freedom. And he wasn't very articulate. And his account was okay. He had a very small following. He couldn't catch ground. And then he disappeared for a while. Probably 6 months, just gone. I get back on there one day and I look and I can recognize he kind of obfuscated his picture a little bit with an anonymizer, but I know it's him. He changed his name, he changed his handle, and I'm watching his content, and his content is fantastic. And that content is getting huge. I mean, he's going viral almost constantly. And I was like, oh, what the hell? What did this guy do? How did he all of a sudden get so good? And then you know what I saw in his posts? Double dashes. And we talked about the dreaded double dashes and the
Oh,
AI content. And so I started grabbing some of his content and throwing it into the AI checkers. And sure enough, it was pegging it at 95% AI generated. So you have this line that you draw. Because, like I said, I knew the guy before he started this most recent account. And it's kind of the same message, but it's obviously written far better. And suddenly, the algorithms are picking up on that and blowing this guy up. Is that the way that we're going to go? Are we going to have a middle person between us and who consumes our content? Is that the right thing to do?
Okay. So you bring up a really interesting angle that on the surface sounds bad, but it's actually a lot more powerful than you think. Um, so let's take us, for example, FazRadio.
Yes.
We have Faz
I
and
like
Titan.
talking about me.
Yes, we have very specific personalities. We have very specific ways we respond to things. Um, we now have 3 years, at least 3 or 4 years of our content. So you train an AI on our content, and it actually knows who is who, and AI is going to get a good enough idea of our characters and how we will respond. We can then actually have AI generate shows with our personalities over subjects that we've never talked about, and it would be able to figure it out. What we might say. Sometimes it might be spot on. Sometimes it might be close. There's a few times it might not get it right at all. But the point is, it's going to use our personalities as a canvas or as a paintbrush, and that in of itself is a neat idea. That in of itself is a cool way to do things because you're drawing with personalities now rather than colors or acrylic paints or oil paints or whatever. You're drawing content like that. That's cool. That is cool, but personalities evolve over a period of time. I'm not the same person I was 4 years ago. You weren't the same person you were 4 years ago. People might even like who I was 4 years ago better, just like people like the early Beatles over the late Beatles. There are people now making AI Beatles. If you look on YouTube, there's a group, there's a channel called the AI Beatles or AI Beatles, and they are making songs that the Beatles sound like the early Beatles or the late Beatles, and they're really good, really good.
Wow.
And so that is a type of content. Oh, I want some early Faz with some late Titan. How would they respond to each other? You can have people generate it themselves. You can have a random thing come out every week. Us, we get bored of that. You can't be the same Titan for 20 years in a row. You want to, humans like to grow. So
Evolve, baby, evolve.
there's gonna always be a place for people to hear the old Beatles, the Beatles from the 60s, and there's gonna be a place for people to hear the new Beatles. And the real Beatles, they moved on. They went on to different things. So yeah, it's there's an opportunity there to go an angle that you and me might get tired of and see how far it can be taken with AI.
And that leads me into the last part of what I wanted to talk about here tonight, which is related back to my story, and it's the authenticity. So, being authentic is the new rage because it's more accepted now. We can be complete ass clowns on this channel if we want to, and we've had moments where we were. But that's what people consume now is they want that authenticity. They want real people. And what sparked it not only was the guy I'm talking about from Twitter, but when we were talking to Zorro 2 shows ago, he had mentioned that the reason that he started watching FazRadio on like episode 3, way back when, was because we were authentic people. If we were to take this show and augment it with AI driven content, or we had AI create a script for us or an outline of this show, would that be something that people would want to watch? It would be something that would catch the algorithm, no doubt, because it would be tweaked towards making us famous. Part of why I think people end up with what they get out of their content creation is because they lack that authenticity. And we have been authentic on this channel since day one. And you can tell by the stupid arguments that we have and everything else. I want to keep that authenticity as part of at least this channel, but I want to see more of it in the space as a whole because people are moving hard into this AI stuff.
Okay, so there is a middle ground. This isn't a black or white issue, and you can make it so that we can use AI for specific things. For example, we do a nice, original, authentic episode, but it's it's a bit slow. It doesn't congeal very well. You can have AI come in and mix that shit up, edit it to looking great. And you get authenticity, but now the AI is painted with the canvas of our episode into something that looks a lot better than it would have normally. That's useful. Now, this is something an editor would have done anyway, a human editor. AI is just a way to get an editor without having to pay an editor lots of money. You know,
You
you're
got to pay
paying.
an AI lots of money.
I think you mentioned. Well, I think you mentioned that there's this thing that you could use that costs $20 a month. Well, that's a lot cheaper than any editor, human editor that you could find. So
Mhm.
we could make higher quality shows using AI, keeping our authenticness. I think you might be bringing it a bit too far when I mentioned, oh well, we can have AI come up with content. You know, that's actually not even a bad idea to have during a show. Um, Little bits of AI content in there mixed in with the real stuff. Now, of course, I think that lowers the quality, but there may be some times where it's useful.
Well, and that's I'm more asking the question rather than trying to profess, this is the way it is. I'm asking, is that what people want to consume? Is that everybody seems to be moving more and more into that tech help for what they're doing? Would that the viewers here, right? So would they would find it more pleasant to watch maybe. But if our content, what we talk about was augmented or scripted by AI, that takes away from that authenticity. But is that what people want to consume and is that okay? Or is it not okay? Would they rather have the authenticity of who we really are?
Well,
That's my ultimate question for
okay,
this
so
topic.
there's an infinite way that you can combine this. For example, would we want a FazRadio Bugs Bunny show where Titan is Elmer Fudd and Faz is Bugs Bunny? I mean, that could be scripted out the wazoo, but you're just giving Bugs Bunny the personality of Faz, or Faz the personality of Bugs Bunny. Who knows? But the point is, you can mix all this shit up and come up with all sorts of cool things. Some things you want to be scripted. Cartoons are scripted. You don't want an unscripted cartoon. Um, or zip bugs. You could do the same thing. You can have a Faz bug and a Titan bug. They might need to be scripted. You might when I'm putting together my zip bugs in stories, I have to come up with, okay, what are these characters? What motivates these characters? What are they about? Why do they want to do certain things? That's hellaciously scripted. So what you're saying is Zorro seems to like the fact that we talk off the cuff and we're not a show that runs like a newscast where we just go over an outline. But there could be a section where we pick up a piece of paper and read off the piece of paper. That might just be better for the AI to do.
I wonder where that line is though, because people are consuming this AI driven, tech driven content way more now. And I'm wondering if the people who are doing what we do, we saddle up every Friday night, we come up with a great topic that we want to talk about and we project it out to the audience who are crazy enough to still listen to us, or are they gonna want to consume? Is it addictive? Is it like the sugar, right? You get that sugar rush from
Well,
AI driven content.
okay, people will go for whatever's interesting. You and I like techno music a lot. That's one of the reasons why we have the techno theme. Let's see if we can pull that up really quick. Uh, this one. Nope, wrong one. That's Fast Politics. Hold on. It's right here. That's a techno song. Somebody came up with that by sampling various things and making something new out of it. There is certainly going to be a desire for certain things constructed artificially if it sounds really, really cool. So yeah, I think it's there. It's going to happen. But the real challenge is what's going to stay interesting to people. You want a completely authentic show. You want partially authentic. It might be that partially authentic gets more eyeballs.
I think that's a little bit sad because we use that tech today with Faz Radio show, but only to a point, right? If I use it to shorten the workflow on our show, if I had to sit and create manually all these shorts that we do, it would take me weeks to get one
Yeah.
out.
But why are you creating the shorts to begin with? You're creating the shorts because people want to consume that and you don't have the time. And yeah, it's great. If AI understands what you want out of shorts, it can select the shorts, it can chop it up, and heck, it can even publish it for you. Is that bad? No, it's finding a different way to serve up our content to people that the TikTok generation who can't stand looking at who can't pay attention to something more than 30 seconds.
That short content piece, those little dopamine hits are that's why TikTok is so fantastically famous. I'm pulling up my bookmarks right now because I'm hoping I saved it. I do this every week, we know that. I hope I saved it. It was the former Google CEO, and I damn it, I did not save it in my bookmarks. It was the former Google CEO, and he was talking about how the algorithms are driving everything these days. Everything is being offloaded to an algorithm. And content and news and everything that you see, including the billboards, the ads, everything is being geared 100% into AI and customized. Like, for example, if you and I were watching a football game, during the break, you would get a different ad pushed to you than I would get pushed to me just because it knows enough about us to know what you are likely to watch all the way through versus what I'm likely to watch all the way through.
Is this a bad thing?
No, but the point that I think he was trying to make is that as we continue to amp up this technology, you're not going to be able to tell the difference between what's real and what's not.
That's
And
fine.
that 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 that's almost too much manipulation in my opinion.
Okay, so that's fine. It's not going to matter if when you say real and not. Um, I, I'm going to get back to my mass produced thing. Think about houses today compared to houses that they were built that were built 100 years ago or 200 years ago, or blue jeans today, as they compared to as they were built before the Industrial Revolution. Um, yeah, those having a pair of blue jeans that were custom fitted to your body would have been great. Actually, what they did back then is they just made them all one size, and then you had suspenders or pants or belts. Nowadays, they come in different sizes, but it's still mass produced, and sometimes you're not going to fit in some. So the mass produced method is going to hit one angle. That's going to hit most of your needs. The custom size and the custom editing and so on, that's going to fit a very important need that I don't think will ever be replaced. So, getting back to the houses built nowadays, 2x4s are a specific size, uh, and they're not 2 inches by 4 inches, by the way. They're like 1.5.
Nominal. Yeah.
Well, it's and how houses were built 100, 200 years ago, they might not have standard sizes. As a result, because they didn't have standard sizes, they were more expensive to build. They took longer. They're using materials that were inconsistent. I might have really good wood in my house. You might have really bad wood in yours, and mine falls down. Mine stays up, and yours falls down, and you don't know why.
Well,
Well,
I got good wood and it stands up just fine.
oh, okay. Anyway, um, but with mass production, how much that house can support before it's built. Um, so there's going to be a good thing about having your episodes produced automatically. But I think to make it a good show, you're always going to want to go in there and curate what it's doing, like I do with my bugs. I start with an image, it starts going some direction with it. Then I start curating where it goes, and so I'm both a an artist and a curator. But it's doing things for me. It's coloring things for me. It's making a consistent pattern across the page. It's visualizing my ideas, and I'm working with it like I'd work with a team. So that's what I think. What you can have both, and it will always be both.
Does that taint your view? Like, let's say you mentioned earlier the channel about the Beatles, right? So would that does that channel that you watch now taint your view of the original Beatles music
Nope.
because you're looking at new AI generated things that aren't really the Beatles?
So the Beatles have said that they're done writing songs. That two of them have died, and I think they've made the last song in 2023 that they could possibly make, because they got old recordings of John, old recordings of George, and then the two remaining ones, got together, and then they made the last song. Um, People aren't done with the Beatles, just like people aren't done with Mozart or Beethoven. Mozart and Beethoven have a pattern that they follow. You can use AI to write new Mozart and Beethoven pieces and enjoy it. I personally enjoy the AI Beatles channel because some of the songs are really good. Some of them suck. And, if I want to make a mixtape these days, I'd make it of the AI Beatles songs that I like. So yeah, there's going to be hit and miss. I mean, I don't think you're going to find people liking everything that they're given by AI, just like they won't like everything that the real Beatles would make for you.
So we're running up on almost 45 minutes here. And I have a question I think that will probably have you rambling for most of the rest of the show here. I've rambled on many times over the years on FazRadio Live about how I disagree 1,000% with how children are educated. It's a farm. You're taught to be a cog in a wheel. We now have these AI helpers. Do you think that education system should be teaching kids, even at second and third grade levels? Should that be evolving into teaching them how to use this technology and how to use this AI? Or do you think that they should be kept within that human element to teach them the same things that they're taught now, but maybe augment that with the AI later? What are your thoughts on that? Because
You,
to me, this is a really big deal. If that's the way we're going, is tech and AI, shouldn't they be taught how to work that to their advantage earlier, or no?
I think you answered your own question, actually. There's a few different angles, and I'll see if I can pull them all together. For some background, um, school has changed over the years, especially since the Industrial Revolution, and we've had to scale up some some ways of teaching people into the way high schools run now. A high school might have 1,000 students or 2,000 students in it. And as far as I'm aware of, it wasn't like that during the Roman Empire. It wasn't like that during the 1800s. Um, that takes a specific that's a certain style of teaching. Um, that's what we grew up with was the best style that we knew of. Um, Now to get back to your using AI and stuff, um, when I was in math class, up until 8th grade, I was not allowed to use a calculator. Up until 7th grade, I was not allowed to use a calculator until algebra came about. Then I needed to use a calculator because you're focusing on the equations rather than,
Right.
whatever. Can I add 4 plus 7? Of course I can. But if I'm focusing on the equations, I might get it wrong because you're doing so many calculations now. You're gonna miss some. You're gonna make more errors. So yeah, calculators needed. And so because of that, you can focus on algebra could solve a lot of problems that regular math can't. Um, yeah, I know that sounds weird. Algebra can solve a lot of problems that simple math can't.
I use algebra almost daily at work.
Okay, so what it was doing is it's solving some problems for you. Yes, kids born today are going to need to use AI tools to get things done, and of course, we'd all like them to know how to do simple math before they use a calculator, and then know how to use algebra before they can have AI come up with new algorithms for them to use, and so on. And they're they're going to be doing at younger ages what we did at older ages, and you'll just have to get over that. Yes, they're going to need AI, and of course, you're going to say, "But you can't start a fire, you can't hunt a deer." And I'm
That's
thinking
not
about
where I
like
was going with that.
what?
That's not where I was going with that.
Okay. I'm adding that in there, and I'm saying
Right.
we have to build upon what's there. I don't know many airline pilots. This automatic centering thing of this AI camera I have sucks because it's jumping all over the place.
It's
I'm gonna turn it
like,
off after this episode. But you don't see. I don't think you see a lot of airline pilots or space shuttle pilots being taught how to make a fire. Not needed for
well,
their job. They have a very complicated job with a bunch of dials and switches, and they have to know how that works.
so ultimately, where I was trying to kind of go with this, I thought you'd catch on because we had a great talk about this offline before. The the ability for children to learn and to develop those critical thinking skills, especially when they're young. If you're augmenting too much AI in early, will that dumb them down? Will that not teach them how to create, how to create good writing and have good communication skills? Or because we don't need them anymore with AI and tech, just like you're well, I'm dating myself here. My teacher used to tell me, "You're not gonna have a calculator in your pocket. You're not gonna have a computer in your pocket." Rah, rah, rah." Well, yeah, we do now. So is that the correct way for humans to go? Or do we stick kind of to the basics and then let them figure out the AI and tech later? That to me, that we're at a pivot point with that now. And that's bothering me. That's on my mind.
Uh, okay, regarding correct way, I think it's obvious that humans were designed to live on a savanna, killing animals for sustenance. We can only see and hear a limited amount of the. We can only see a limited amount of the visual spectrum. We can only hear sounds up, up, up and down within a specific range. We're only so strong. Yet our machines make us nearly invulnerable, and AI now can take our brains and do multiply them and exponentiate them. So, what is right in a world where I mean, you're wearing glasses right now. 1,000 years ago, you wouldn't. Uh, it's you're already you're that's going down the path of becoming a cyborg. What about people that have problems thinking after they've been in a car accident or have brain injury? I can imagine a component inserted into your brain, probably AI enabled, to help you keep your thoughts together. Um, is that right? So when you have kids growing up using AI tools all the time, is it right? Yes and no. It's right because our goals are to do more complicated things, but we were never designed to do those things. We're constantly pushing our boundaries.
That was beautiful, man, because that's the conundrum. That is exactly this huge part of what we're trying to figure out at this point. Where do we take this? What is that line? What is that limit? It can hurt people in certain ways, but it can help others in ways that we could only dream about before. That these discussions are what keep me up at night because my brain will not shut off when it comes to stuff like that. That I think I want my kids to have that advantage that I didn't have, right? We had to do it the manual way. Everything was manual. And luckily, you you and I, and there's a bunch of people I'm sure that are watching that are part of this too. We've kept up. When computers came out, we learned them. We continued to learn them. We kept up with the technology. We were able to we go, "Oh, that looks really cool." And we went out and we learned it. What I'm afraid of is that AI will not push people to learn new things because they don't have to. The AI is just going to know it. And that's where I have because I love AI. I freaking love it. But will it take away the craving for learning new things?
Okay, think about this very carefully. Okay. Um, the best use of an AI, and I'm just going to go out on a limb here. The best use of an AI is to fill a hole that is hard for a human to do. If there is a thing that a human shines at, that hole should not be filled by AI. Or it'd be good if it was augmented by AI. And so when you're saying, would it be would it be bad if AI did that for us? Well, would it be bad if AI helped Mozart write his music? He had to use a piece of paper and a pencil. Is that really the best way to write music? You know what I'd love? I'd love for somebody to put a microphone or to tap Mozart's brain so you can hear all that music while he's thinking of it, so he doesn't have to take the time to write it all down. Because just writing it all down, you're engaging different parts of your body, and you want to hear that music as he heard it. Well, it seems to me that Mozart probably was able to translate that stuff well. But a lot of us do come up with interesting things every day, and we don't know how to write music. We don't know how to do these things. You might have a wonderful idea for a computer program, but unless you know how to program in specific languages, it's never going to come to reality. And so, yes, I want an AI augmenting your brain, to get that out of your brain, to get your vision out of a brain. Humans are best at creating a vision. AI can do it too, but humans are in charge. We want this. And at the moment, I think we're a lot better at creating a vision than AI. AI is currently training on other humans. They're just going to replicate a vision.
I agree with you 100%. And to Jay Soto's comment, you're thinking about it wrong. I'm not professing that oh my God, gloom and doom, this is going to happen. I'm asking the question, and that's what I want to have this discussion about. Is I'm asking that question: do you think that would take away from a person's ability to learn? Because I'm gonna
No,
go into
no, we all adapt to each other. Does it take away? It's me talking to you right now, taking away from your ability to speak. Well, probably if I prevented you from speaking. Well, if your goal was to speak and the AI knew it and you were what if an AI could study everything you did? I don't know, maybe an AI teacher could study everything you did, find your weak points, and encourage you in the areas that you want to flourish, such as speaking better. So I see teachers getting 1,000 times better if it's an AI teacher, but I want some teachers, some actual human trained teachers, kind of in charge of those AI teachers to kind of steer them, to help uh, curate them and help address current needs. And those current needs are going to be political, societal needs. There's a lot of directions you can go with an AI teacher that other people in charge won't want you to go. So the politics is what's going to drive the adoption of any specific type of AI or specific way that an AI will solve a problem.
Yeah, I so I do think though that you do have to have a base somehow. And I was reading Shanrat's comment too, because going back to my Secretary of Defense executive conference room bathroom, in my conference room there, I also have a plaque. And that plaque is from the Chief of Naval Operations, and it was the letter that I received when I was transferring out of the Pentagon. And it had on there, and it was 1991, and it says on there, hey, petty officer so and so, that's me. I'm not going to talk about my name on here. Developed a computer software program that helped people prepare for advancement better. In 1991, it took me the better part of a year to figure out how to program that. But I had to learn how to do all that stuff on my own. There were no teachers back then. There was no course you could take on how to do this stuff. You just had to figure it out. And having those skills, even going back, 30, 40, 50 years, and having that base knowledge, it helps me today when I go on. Hang on, I'll be there. When I go on to my Fedora box and I go to the command line and I'm trying to get something accomplished with the command line, I can kind of regress back into that because I learned how to learn. Learning how to learn is important. What did you have up? I just looked back down.
So I want to I want to clarify. I think I can clarify what you're saying. So yes, it's great that you learned a language to get that done. You needed to do it to get the job done. If anything, learning that language taught you a specific way to think, which is what I think you're trying to say.
Yes, you're actually right. For the first time in a long time, you're reading it right.
But you don't need to keep programming in that language to keep thinking that way. In fact, you don't even need to write that language to think that way. All you need to do is just to do things that require that kind of thinking. So software development is a certain way because computers are extremely literal. They do exactly what you want them to do. Okay, that's a specific way to think. Great. It's a very results-oriented way of thinking. If you want to develop yourself in a very results-oriented way of thinking, AI can help you do that without the need for writing a language. What's better, I think, that AI does a bit more is it works to adapt with you to where it can help you clarify. So you could say, if you know that you need a results way of thinking, you don't even need to think that way. You can just say, okay, I know what I know what a results way of thinking is. That's all I need to know. I want you to do this in this way.
But that's what I'm talking about with that base. You have to have a base knowledge of how to think.
Yeah, math class is always going to be needed, but it might not be. It used to be that, in Babylonian times, you drew things in the dirt or you made stone tablets, and then eventually it moved to chalkboards. You're writing things with chalk on chalkboards, and then eventually it became to writing things down on paper, and now we're typing things on the computer. Great. As long as you have a way to record what you're thinking, that's just used to get the information across to other people. But what if you could just say it? The things that you've been saying all along. Why do you need to write down what you're saying? You can say it and something else can write it down, take down everything you're saying. It speeds up the process. I know what you're thinking. Well, what if that AI isn't around and I want to record and I want to record these things? Well, then you're going to have to learn a different way of doing things. Just like if you were to go to a desert island right now, you'd have to learn how to cook, how to fish, how to do everything that you're currently not doing sitting in front of that microphone. So, yeah, it's just depends on the situation. I think AI is there's innumerable things that AI can help with.
I agree. I agree. I'm just if there's anything there, I want to reiterate that you have to have at least a base. You have to learn how to think, and you have to learn how to communicate those thoughts to an AI. So that's why I'm wondering how they're going to integrate that into the education system. I do want them to teach kids how to think. My kids right now we've had many conversations on weekends, and their education is one of the best around. We moved to the community for that education, and they're getting a top-notch education, but they're not so much taught how to think at levels of depth that I was taught how to think. And now that there's this easy out, so to speak, with I want to make sure that I'm teaching them how to think.
Oh,
And
okay.
you know what I mean?
I
That's the only part that bothers me is
okay.
God, they have to know that.
So Shanrad is saying something similar to what you're saying. He says, I tried to tutor my sisters. They didn't want to learn. They just wanted me to help them get their homework done faster. No matter how much I tried to teach them the process, they didn't want it. Okay. Same with me when I was a kid, and probably the same with you when you were a kid before you really knew the value of it. And let's be honest, the way that you know the value of something is when you go without it. Okay. That's why punishments tend to take things away from people to show them the value of something at the same time that to motivate them. Yeah, um, AI is not always going to be the best at motivating you. I think another human is, and that's great. Another human can use an AI to motivate you. I was never,
Shanrat,
I was never taught
I
how to think. I had an urge to learn. Okay, n-
same here.
okay.
100%. What's that newfangled thing?
Do you
Show
have
me
an urge
how
to
it
learn
works, what
everything,
it's about, what can I
Shanrat?
do with it?
Do you have an urge to learn everything? Are there some things that you just don't have time to learn? Because I mean, I want to know everything, but there's some things that I just don't care about these days. Um, right now, if my son shows me an app on the phone and he knows how to use it, honestly, I have less of an urge to want to learn it if he already knows it. It's easier for me to delegate to him than to learn it myself. My parents did this when I was a kid. I knew how to program that VCR. My mom, she had the concept, but she didn't really like going through all that. And so I was a badass because I could program that VCR. I had an urge to learn. But now I'm in her shoes and I need to do 25 other things. This is where we get into robots, Tesla robots, things like this. Yeah, sure.
Optimus.
For your job, you learned as much as you needed to do the job and then you moved on. Well, there's a bunch of things that we don't have an urge to learn that have nothing to do with what we're doing but still need to be done. So, getting back to the robots. Tesla robots are an example. There's so many things you already know how to do, but you don't want to do because it takes time. And so you're like, "Hey, a robot can wash dishes. Go ahead and wash these dishes. Robot can walk the dog. Go ahead and walk the dog." Um, because you want to do more important things. And some of those important things might be you need to relax and recharge. But the point is, okay, fine. Kids who grew up with those robots around, are they going to have an urge to learn? Yes, but they're going to learn different things. They're not going to have an urge to learn how to wash dishes if they're automatically washed. They're going to be having an urge to learn how to make a rocket or how to pilot a rocket and go to other planets or do things on this earth that we just don't have time to do. So yeah, I do want robots to wash dishes. I want my kids to not have to worry about washing dishes, just like I don't have to worry about tanning leather for my shoes. Who does that? Well, my friend does it. Nobody else does. Who the fuck does that? So, no, I'm not going to tan leather. I'm not going to wash clothes the old way unless I have to. No, I want to do computer programming. So, there you go.
So Dagny Taggart called me out here. Teach kids how to think. That's a huge assumption. We know more than them. You're treading into the old man. These kids today, danger zone.
No, that's
No,
actually, I'd call that a standards argument, because what you're saying is if you're going to teach them how to think, you have certain things you want them to know,
no, I wanna teach them how to
certain ways.
dig deep and look at different angles before they make a decision. I
That's a
don't want
standard.
them outsourcing everything, all their decisions to AI or tech or what their phone says is
Do you
the
want your
most
kids to know how to
important thing
tan
to
leather
do.
for making shoes?
No, we're okay. So I get your point 100%. I get your point. No, they don't have to know that. But when they're making decisions about their life and the direction they want to go and the career they maybe want to get into, and a lot of those things, there's a lot more that they have to consider. And I don't want them outsourcing that to an AI or to a technology piece on their phone. I want them to do the research and think for themselves and say, "Boy, let me ponder the pros and the cons of this." I don't want them letting technology make decisions for them before they know how to make a decision. Does that maybe clarify it a little bit better?
Well, yeah,
I
but
hope.
you're still talking about a standard, and that means it would be nice if everybody decided that they wanted to learn how to do something. But we know as adults that we don't always need to know how to do something. We just need to know who can do it for us. So, yeah, yeah. If I need something made for me, like I don't know, FazRadio sign, I don't fucking know how to do this. I mean, I could probably figure it out if I had a need to do this on a daily basis. I'd get up to speed, and that's the thing. I think you'll find a lot of humans naturally get into how do I make this if I really need to know how to make it.
No, but they need to think about they need to know how to think about how to design it, how to make it, what materials will work with what they're gonna use it for, or do they just outsource that and say, "I wanna put this on the back of my car, what's the be" I think
What's the
that's the
process?
lazy way out.
Okay, what think about this. Okay, this again, this is made of probably steel or something. Hopefully, I don't think it's made of aluminum. Um, do I need to try 27 different metals to see which one's the best? Well, if I'm just going to slap this on my car, no. Am I? What if I slap this on a fleet of 1,000 cars? Well, that's going to be more interesting. I'm going to be more interested in learning what lasts the longest, so I don't have to spend as much money.
Right. With where you live versus where I live, the metal's gonna make a huge difference
Yes, I live near salt
because of
water.
the
Salt will
right, because
erode
of the
metal.
weather and the salt water and everything. Right. So I want them to be able to have a base knowledge of what metals will work and not work,
That that
not just ask AI how to do it and what's the
okay.
best.
So what I was getting with this is okay. There's a couple ways that I could learn to make this sign. One way is I could buy a bunch of them made of different metals, try each of them on my car, and eventually figure it out. Or no, I don't have that kind of time. Somebody's already done this. I can go look it up in a book. Well, Google came along and was able to search every single book out there and tell me really quickly what metals to use would fit my needs. But I had to know how to structure it and how to look for the web pages and so on. Now comes AI, where I have the same question and it can surf Google for me. And I can just say, what's the best metal I can use? Now, the follow up question should probably be, why? I want to, and it says, you need to use this metal. Now, my follow up question should be, why? But I don't always need to know why. Here's an
Don't
example.
always.
Here's an
I just think
example.
it's good to
You
know.
go to no, you go to a restaurant. You go to Microsoft, not Microsoft. You go to McDonald's. You love their cheeseburgers. You buy their cheeseburgers, you eat the cheeseburgers. Do you need to know why they put things together the way they did? No, you just know where to fucking get the cheeseburger. You buy it, you have however much money it takes to buy a cheeseburger. You're going to start your own restaurant. Now you need to know why. You're going to buy cheeseburgers. You're going to analyze them. You're going to say, "Oh, I see that they put butter on the buns. They put ketchup and mustard On one side, they put these onions here and then the cheese. Now you want to know why, but not everybody needs to know why. So this is where AI helps you. I don't need to do all this research when I could pay $20 a month for ChatGPT to tell me, just as an aside, yeah, you want to use this metal. Oh, you live near salt water? Yeah, don't use that. Use another metal. And then I can get on with what I really want to do in life. I don't I get it. You want your kids to know a certain set of facts or a certain way to determine facts because of the way you live right now.
Process.
Because of the way you live right now. But your your sons and your daughter's world 30 years from now is not going to be yours now. And that those things are going to change a little bit.
They will.
And so at the very least, I think you should find a way to teach them how you do it so that they know about it.
That's
But
exactly what I do.
but you need to be able to translate your skills into their experience with AI. And so you can show them how to better use AI with your knowledge and so on.
Of course.
There's no good way around it. You're going to need to know old things. You're going to need to know new things. Would it be good for me to know how to tan leather? Yes, it would, but it's basically useless. You know something else I can do? I can build guitars. I had a luthier teacher for a while, and that's great. How many guitars am I making? Do I need to do this? So is that wasted knowledge? Yes and no. It might inspire me in creating computer programs, but your kids are going to find different bases for what propel them forward. I know you don't. I know you don't want what happens in the movie Wall-E. Have you seen that movie?
A long time ago, yeah.
Wall-E was a Disney movie where it was far into the future, and all humans they were living in this big spaceship because they had made the Earth unlivable, and nobody moved around. They all sat in chairs all day, and they wore, I'd say, bedtime clothes all the time because they never got up, and they were kind of useless blobs. No, we're not going to become useless blobs in our world, no matter what. There will always be people that won't want to be ruled by other people. They won't want to delegate. I think you just don't want your kids to delegate. You want them to actually manhandle things themselves and learn how things worked so that they can call the shots rather than having to depend upon somebody else to call the shots.
Well, not so much that. I think I attribute a lot of my success in life and how I've kept myself purposely on the edge of technology all throughout my life. And it's served me well because, I'm in my mid 50s and I can have an intelligent conversation about AI, and I use AI more than even a lot of these Gen Z people. I know computers extraordinarily well. I've always kept myself on that edge, and I'm afraid. I wouldn't use the word afraid. I'm disappointed that the generation that my kids are growing up in may not have that hunger if they're not taught that they have to have it. I knew from long time ago when I was 17, 18 years old, if I wanted to get ahead in the world, I had to stay current with what was going on. And I've driven myself because of my love of learning and my curiosity. And I wonder if that AI is going to take that away from these younger generations.
Okay. 100 years ago, people didn't have all the things that you had, and they had that same drive. I think staying current actually is kind of a new thing because we're so connected with other humans. We need to stay current to know what they're doing. I think humans 2,000 3,000 years ago, they needed to kind of stay up with certain bits of knowledge, but that knowledge was usually well guarded. That was the master of a craft would only tell another master of a craft. They'd never tell a, a, a novice to any craft. Um, Knowledge was guarded a lot, and so yeah, 2 3,000 years ago, somebody being able to stay current somebody trying to stay current, that would have been very, very hard. It's a good skill, but you need to use it all the time here because there's so much knowledge flying around that's free.
Oh my goodness, it's
And that's
ridiculous.
that's a big difference. Um, even just I mean, that's since what the telegraph became invented and stuff like that. We get so much knowledge from so many places. We can't even consume it all fast enough. So your life is way different. Your kids. I saw Shadrat here talking about. You better learn math because you won't be carrying around a calculator. You better use AI because it's not going to be in your head telling you what to do. Of course,
Yeah,
ominous
well,
thing he's saying there.
right?
Of course, General Kazan's like, well, apparently not, but soon. And yeah, humans actually do want this. And it actually isn't such a bad idea. Of course, what we don't like is we don't want to become robots ourselves. We'd like an AI to be able to read our thoughts and be able to augment our thoughts, yet we still stay in control. That's the best way. But of course, there's all sorts of ways to do things bad. So this ominous emoticon here, I think that is there. Maybe that's not ominous, more scared because he looks a bit worried. I think he's worried more about people controlling him. And yeah, people are controlling you right now, and you're just thinking of yet another way people will be controlled in the future that your kids and grandkids are probably going to know better how to be not controlled than you right now because they'll know the technology.
Let's hope. We ran way over tonight.
There's so much, and you forewarned this. There's so much to go into on this, and I think Jay Soto really understands um, uh, my side that we're talking about with AI. There's so many opportunities with AI. AI will literally change the world as we know it in ways that you couldn't possibly imagine. You're not used to being that connected. It's not going to be enough to where you have to just go out and read this website, go read this newspaper, and go read this technical manual. It If you think about the Matrix and AI being integrated with the brain, you're just going to simply say, I want to call up the part of human experience that I don't know about to do this thing. Great. That just saved a whole lot of time. We're just worried about how it's implemented, about, okay, am I doing this because I want to do it, or is because somebody's tapped into this machine in my head? That's the worry. I'd say security is the worry there, and not the fact that we're going to be augmented. So I think humans will be demanding to be augmented. They want this stuff so that we don't have to go through all the trouble.
I think this was a fantastic discussion.
All right. Well, I think we're probably almost done here.
We should be, because if I start again, we'll go for 2 hours.
Well, in that case,